Welcome to the Masterclass series. This is the last episode that I've planned for now. Really don't have anything more to talk about after this. This one's kind of slightly different than the others. This one's about just talking to big name trombone players, or musicians, I guess. Doesn't have to be specifically trombone players. So I do have some experience doing this. I've interviewed several for our podcast that we do downstream. You can check that out if you want. I'm not even going to link it. You can find it yourself. I've interviewed a few. I've talked with a bunch. I've been taught by a few. I've done master classes with these people. I've hung out with them. I've drunk beer with them. I'm not saying I'm like best friends with people, but I've spent a fair amount of time with top shelf trombonists. So here's my experience with it. It's really important to be able to talk to these people because they have information for you, obviously. You can get it in a master class or in a lesson or whatever, but it's really good to get it outside of those settings. Just talk to them and kind of get to know these great trombone players. So here's a few tips. First tip is remember that they're just people, right? It's easy to look at someone like Joe Alessi or another giant name, Christian Lindberg. I've talked to Christian Lindberg. It's easy to look at those people and go, wow, those are superstars. They're way above us in every way, and they probably don't want to talk to us a lot. But they're just people. This is something I learned studying at UCLA because my teacher plays in the LA Phil, and I played in LA Phil a couple times. I got to talk to a bunch of people, a bunch of musicians. They're just people. They have the same dreams and hopes and stuff. They're just a lot further along in that progression than you or I. They've just done more stuff. They have more experience. And that's pretty much really the only difference. Like some of these people, Christian Lindberg is one of them that I can think of, definitely have some personality traits that kind of distinguish themselves from a normal Joe. He is just so driven, has so much energy all the time. That's not something you would see on a normal basis, I think. But he's still just a normal guy. He still eats food and does things other than trombone. So that's really important to remember. And something that I have to remember every time that I talk to these people. You just talk to them and they go, oh, I went to school and I did this and I practiced a lot and blah blah blah. And it's like, oh yeah, they weren't just born and they were amazing at trombone and then they got a job. They were born and did a bunch of boring stuff and then picked up trombone along the way and then had to practice it a lot and went to school and made mistakes. They're just the same as you or I, and they've just done more stuff. Second tip is don't be boring. If you're a top shelf trombone player, not exactly a superstar, you're not you don't have a house in Hollywood and you have paparazzi following you around everywhere. But at a trombone event, you probably have a lot of people coming up and going, hey, what mouthpiece do you play? Or, whatever. Just kind of dumb questions. And, most of them are nice guys, nice women. They're going to talk to you. But they don't necessarily want to if you're just going to be boring, right? So, be a little more interesting. I'm not especially charismatic, I don't think, but I can think of questions outside of why do you play the trombone that you play? Or, boring things like that. Ask them about things that are not even related to trombone. One of the things we ask in our podcast every time is, what do you do for fun outside of trombone? And that always gets them really to open up, I love bicycling, or I love hiking. Those are two examples so far. Just doing nothing. That's what Martin Skipper said. He just likes to chill. And that's good. They want to talk about themselves, not necessarily just trombone, but just talk about themselves. The next thing is they want to give you feedback. So if you've played for somebody, you did a master class or something, or maybe you did an audition, they want to talk to you about it. A lot of times, if you do an audition, they grade you. They say, oh, well, they're not good enough. Next. But they want to tell you why you weren't good enough. In a lot of cases, they can't. There's no method to get you the information that they have. So if you can find them, if you can talk to them after the fact, like at the Lace Trombone Festival, At one of the hangs afterwards, I found each person that was on the committee and talked to them about what they thought of my performance. I spent probably a good 10-15 minutes with each person, and 3 of them had written down notes, like an entire half of a page of just stuff that they had written down during my thing. And they got that out, they whipped it out and went down each thing individually with me while they were hanging out with friends and stuff. They took that time to go, oh yeah, let's talk about, I really want you to know about this, blah, blah, blah. So they really have, if they've gotten this far in music, they have this want to improve others, right? So don't be afraid of asking them for opinions like that. I think that's something that validates them. You're giving them respect for wanting their opinion, and it's just good stuff to know, right? Then of course, I talk to those people at a hang. Hang is like going to a bar afterwards or whatever. Obviously, it helps to be of age. I'm old, I'm 28, so I can do whatever at any time. But it's really important to go to these things. For a long time, a little bit of personal history, I did not like to hang out and to go to parties and stuff. It's probably obvious, I'm a super dweeb, but eventually I kind of learned I need to do this stuff because it's so important for your just like development as a social musician to like go to these things and hang out and have fun, not talk about trombone for a little bit. And I do know people that are very good at trombone who do not go hang out. They don't go to these things. They don't talk to people outside of, rigid Masterclasses and lessons and stuff. And they're great at trombone. Most of them I really like as people, but if they don't go to the hangs, it's putting a barrier on how well you're going to get to know these people. And you don't need to go get super drunk every time you hang out with other trombone players, but it's really good to just be there and talk with people and have fun. That's really important, to find these people outside of their normal prescribed setting. So there you go. There's a few things about talking to semi-famous, no trombone players are really famous. Sorry, Joe Alessi. But talking to those top shelf players that we hold in very high regard. Here's your little guide. See you guys next time.